Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk, and we're going to do an episode of ranking some of the. And so, what we'll be ranking some of the today are the Queen songs. And we're going to do the bottoms, tops, and wild cards format for this. So, let's start off with my least favorite Queen songs. So, the first one I'm going to mention is We Are the Champions, which I'm representing with my Queen Greatest Hits CD. We Are the Champions was on the News of the World album. It was actually an album I had on vinyl when I was a kid, and it's disappeared. We'll talk more about the albums I had when I was a kid. One of them I still have, the other ones have disappeared. But of course, We Are the Champions. It's like if you watch sports, when somebody wins the title, they always play that song. It's an overplayed sort of jock rock stadium song, and I'm not that crazy about it. But probably my least favorite Queen song is off of Queen the Works. So you can see I have a promo version of this, Radio Gaga. And I just don't like that song at all. Now, this is one of the albums I had when I was a kid that I still have. And I actually hardly ever listened to this album. This is certainly nowhere near. If I was ranking Queen albums, this would be pretty close to my bottom. I really don't like Radio Gaga. I actually won this from a local radio station. They had some sort of contest. Call in, and if you're the fifth caller, you win a record. And so this is the record that they gave me. Now some wild cards. So we've got Under Pressure, which is off of Hot Space. So I don't have Hot Space. Under Pressure isn't on this particular compilation. Of course, that was with David Bowie, and of course we know it from being sampled. That the bass line, which actually is pretty cool, being sampled by Vanilla Ice. So I have to give Ice some credit for he did sample a pretty cool lick there, even though I'm not crazy about what he ended up doing with it. Another one of my wild cards, this would be also off of News of the World. Unfortunately, I don't have it to show you. The song Sleeping on the Sidewalk, which is sort of a deep cut off of the News of the World album. And I did a little bit of research on it. Apparently, it was recorded in one take, sung by Brian May rather than Freddie Mercury. And apparently there are some mistakes that John Deacon made during the cut, but they didn't redo it. I'll be honest, I never really noticed that until I did the research on it. But anyway, let's get into some tops. So let's give you a top 5 songs for me. And so first one I'm going to talk about is off of the Jazz album, the song Bicycle Race. So you can see I have a 45 of it. It has Fat Bottom Girls on the other side. I'll be honest, I don't remember which one is technically considered to be the A side. Really, you kind of hear both of those songs. I like the Bicycle Race song better. I think that's a pretty cool song. And so I'm calling that my number 5. Now, I was trying not to pull too much from this particular record, but my favorite Queen record is Queen 2. And so you got some of these classic pictures of them. Side white, side black. No synthesizers were used, although it's just freaky. The side black especially was really heavy. And so off of side white, I picked the Father the Son song as my number 4. It's a pretty epic song, but we're going to have some even more epic cuts coming up here. My number 3, which is represented on my greatest hits compilation, but also I have gotten. This is not an album I didn't have when I was a kid, but I did pick up a sheer heart attack. So the song Killer Queen. Again, that's a pretty well-known song of theirs. And so I'm going to say that that's my number 3 song. My number 2 song, which I'll be honest, was probably when about the time where I really kind of discovered Queen when I was about 10 or 11 years old. I had the Game on album when I was a kid, but again, those are one of the ones that disappeared. And it's one of the ones I'd like to get in my collection. I just haven't bumped across the right version at the right price yet. But we have Queen, Another One Bites the Dust. I do have it on a single. You can see it's Carl's single. Carl Boswell, yeah, I have your record. Don't Try Suicide was the B-side. And I know some of the people that are really big into Queen in the 70s. This came out in 1980, and people were like, oh, it's too much like disco. We don't like this by Queen. Or it was really overplayed, which that is definitely true. But number 2 for me, Another One Bites the Dust. But my favorite epic, long Queen song of all time did not come from the Wayne's World movie, did not come from A Night at the Opera. It also came off of Queen 2, off of Side Black. And really, Side Black, you've got Ogre Battle's a great song, The Fairy Feller's Master Stroke. Break out your dictionary to look up what words like query and tatterdemalion. But the March of the Black Queen, my all-time favorite Queen song. If I could only listen to one Queen song for the rest of my life, it's basically proto-Bohemian Rhapsody, except it's a lot better than Bohemian Rhapsody. It's got heavy parts, it's got light parts. My understanding was they pretty much almost never played it in concert because it was pretty much impossible to pull off live the way they did it on the album. But that's going to be my number 1 song in my ranking some of the Queen songs. Number 1, March of the Black Queen. 2, Another One Bites the Dust. 3, Killer Queen. 4, Father to Son. 5, Bicycle Race. And it's not like I carefully poured over the entire Queen discography. There are the little hot spots of stuff I really like that I kind of mined for this. And so you can tell me what an idiot I am down below in the comments section.